3, 2, 1.
How long have you been practicing your voice?
My voice?
It's
I
gotten
mean,
better.
this is across.
It's gotten better.
It's approaching 100 episodes, like between LLB and EOA. It's almost like a year gap for EOA, and then about 3-4 month gap with LLB. You have to revamp that.
How come you never talk about the Ukraine war?
We did in the initial beginning, right, when it first started.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of covered almost all the angles we could think about. But then it kind of died out of the cycle, right? It's kind of in the background now. I mean, Ukraine war still going on. We're still seeing the effects globally, right?
How about de-dollarization?
I don't know. What are your takes on that?
It's happening, man.
I mean, Anwar, PM of Malaysia, recently made a very public statement saying there's no need for it. But materially, I don't know what he did in the background to substantiate that.
Not much, because he's a,
Well, be careful what you say.
Anwar.
We're still Malaysia.
Anwar is always Anwar.
Yeah. What do you? Maybe you could elaborate on that, but in a nice way, maybe.
I think when I see the money come in, from his foreign visits, then maybe I'll give him more benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Can you get closer to the mic? Yeah.
Oh.
There you go. So you can hear yourself. Well, he does have good foreign relations, right? Credibility with the U.S., but it's interesting that he's not leaning on that. He wants to go more towards China. Is that the case?
I think that's the ASEAN stance, right? I think that's the world stance.
Yeah.
The past week, you've seen Lula, Macron,
Mm-hmm.
Ursula von der Leyen.
Yeah.
Although she came uninvited.
Came what?
Uninvited.
Uninvited.
Lee Hsien Loong also went.
Yeah,
Anwar
from Singapore.
that went.
Yeah.
And very soon, Annalena Baerbock just went.
Yeah.
Always to lecture.
Mm-hmm.
Always to lecture. But I think Macron was a big sign, right? That there is not much unity in the EU, especially with France.
Well, you'd think that'd be not the case with the
Germans?
The war in Ukraine, right? You thought there would be more unity. At least on the defense front, there seems to be. On the policy side,
I don't think there was any unity. It was always like, a scheme to bring Germany down, keep it, lead it away from its competitive advantage, move it away from Russia.
Mm.
But at the same time, Germany is the biggest, economy in the EU, the most powerful one.
I mean, politically, it seems to be a pendulum, though. It swings from unity and
when are we going to
fragmentation.
call a spade a spade? What happened to Nord Stream was quite amazing. You're a country that had your own major infrastructure blown up, and nobody can tell you who did it.
Well,
And then you have Seymour Hersh, right? The guy that broke all the big stories, and nobody is talking about him.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people on YouTube doing it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the mass media, which you used to write for,
Yeah.
they suddenly just keep quiet. And they come up with a counter theory. A Ukrainian yak went out and did it.
So what are the existing theories in the mainstream right now?
I think everyone has made it very clear. Even Biden said it. We will put an end to it.
And to what? The war?
No, put an end to Nord Stream. Don't ask how. We will do it.
Do you have the facts to back that? He said it. What?
Yeah, a German reporter asked Biden, "How exactly are you going to put an end to Nord Stream 2? It's a JV between a German state company and a Russian state company."
Yeah.
And Biden said verbatim, "Don't worry, we'll put an end to it."
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
but that's very open ended, though.
Come on, look. I mean, there's just so much. You can claim that somebody did it.
Obviously, I mean, it's
Somebody
done.
did it, obviously. The person that did it didn't have to blow it up, The owners didn't have to blow it up to, not use it,
Yeah.
right? And here you have countless countries that were investigating it. Sweden, Denmark, off the shores, and they won't tell who did it. The Germans said they're still figuring out who did it. You have this reporter saying, in quite a good, believable story, right?
Yeah.
That was how the operation was run.
Yeah.
And everyone, is like, okay, let's not talk about that. Yeah. The whole world is asking, can you please investigate at the UN?
Yeah.
And the only country that vetoed is US.
Yeah.
So, I mean, well, at what point do you just say, okay, it's probably them.
Well,
Or do you just want to keep, living in this altered world reality,
if you're politically in power, let's just assume what you're saying is fact, right? Well, then you do want to live in that world of altered reality, right? Because there's
no living in a world altered reality, right? People living in a world altered reality are not living in reality.
Well, it's just controlling the narrative.
Yes, exactly. The reality is, right, an ally of Germany blew up the pipeline, right, to sabotage, Germany's leverage against withdrawing from the war, joining the war.
Yeah.
Some form or another, right, it puts Germany's sovereignty, right, in a big spotlight. It was never sovereign, Germany.
Well, let's put it this way.
It's still an occupied country.
Okay, even if it's true and established, so what?
So what?
Yeah. So what's the
That's a good question.
what's the
That's a good
consequence
question.
of this?
So what? Right? I think, the implications are very big. Relying on the US to keep the peace in the part of the world has always been, a double-edged sword, right?
Of course. I mean, with any world power, if they're number one.
Of course.
Yeah.
Any world power could be doing bad things.
Well, it's factually probably true that every world power has done bad things.
Every damn world power has done bad things. Yeah. But now there's only one world power or a few world powers that are completely against war, sanctions, terrorism.
You're talking about the Western developed nations.
No, I think every other, the global south, every other nation besides this hegemonic West, this 7-6 Western countries,
Yeah.
They all have a shared vision. Okay, we want global prosperity, common peace, trade, peace, no war, no sanctions, no abuse of US dollar, right? No unilateral actions. Yeah, we gotta come together, go towards a green future. It's fine. I think everyone's going green. That's there.
Well, the money is flowing that way. That's for sure.
Of course.
Technology has caught up. Prices have come down.
Yes. People have to get back to basics. Apply science to those fields that would advance the human race, right? And not spend money bombing people, wasting it on military things, printing money, for what, this is all the money is used for things that are not long term. Yeah, infrastructure or education, healthcare.
Well, let's shift the conversation. I mean, I think what we're seeing is a very clear divide in geopolitical lines. China and Russia are getting closer now. Western,
they have a friendship beyond limits.
Well, yes, that was the media title, right? But by hook or crook or whatever the case, Western has to stick to each other, right?
Why? Why can't, why do they have to form a clique, East against West, right? Okay, the platform that they're on, I think Russia and China and the rest of the world have announced, what their vision of the world is, yeah? And it's a vision where, they don't want nuclear proliferation. They don't want this trade imperialism. Yeah? They want each country to be sovereign. They want development. They want the BRI.
Mm-hmm.
And the other platform, what are they offering? Nothing but more defense, of their hegemony or of their interests. So I mean, it's like who in the world are building roads or new airports, new infrastructure in the whole world? Everyone except them. The whole world is doing it, right? Laos is doing it. We are doing it. Yeah. But over there, it's crumbling. There are no new big projects, that bring humanity forward. There are private companies that do it. Private companies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even then, they rely a lot on the East.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I just don't get, why is it so hard to talk about why the Western leaders, the people, I'm quite sure that the people down, everyone is, the common man wants common prosperity, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Although there's a lot of propaganda, brainwashing going on, on who is a threat to who and the rest. The leadership is the one a bit cuckoo in the head, like going to war, escalating with nuclear superpowers, right? It's not. It's insane. The world can end.
Well, I mean, look, I see your line of thought in terms of escalation of war and conflict. No one wants that for sure, right?
It's terrible, man.
Yeah.
Like it sucks, Imagine you live your whole life, right?
Yeah.
And then you get conscripted and you go die.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing that.
How easy it is, like when you die in the big
Yeah.
war and nothing, no one thinks big of it. Like, how many people have died in this war? 400,000, 300,000?
Well, it's very weird because we see that manifestation in. I meet a lot of Russian entrepreneurs now doing startups in the region, and their biggest concern is ensuring their permanent residency somewhere. Because if they get deported, they're literally going to the front lines. So it's very weird when you talk to them because it's a very different reality from what you see or feel every day. But that's actually some people's reality. So that's point taken.
So yeah, I mean, why are we having this talk, right? I'm not trying to attack you personally or my POV is this: something's wrong in the world. The East and the West are not getting along. The East has a pretty logical platform of peace, This one doesn't seem to. They say the words, build back better and the rest, but nothing gets done. But at the back of the hand, they fuel the war.
Look, I mean, there's two things I want to say, right? One is if you flip the narrative, you can just. I think no matter what, China's the second world power, right? Mm-hmm. Your logic applies from the perspective of the Chinese too. They also want to maintain their economic strength. They want to be number one. Yeah, exactly. So
of course they do.
So the logic applies from that narrative too, from the other side, right? I mean, the same criticism you say towards the West applies if China was on number one.
Why we are modern human beings, right? It's the world has never been so global before. Okay, so why are we going back to 2,500 years of logical thought and say, oh, this is a Thucydides trap? Right? There can be only one superpower. I'm not gonna let it go so easily.
There's an interesting economic historian that I had to study back in school called Mankar Olson, and his theory of
I think we should work towards the Star Trek theory, a future.
Well, let me say first. So it's called institutional sclerosis. Over time, your institutions get more and more, in a sense, cancerous, right? And then part of his framework was that you would need a very big shock to the system to reset everything. And back in the day, right, from World War I, the monarchy was shocked by World War I, the Great War.
Which monarchy?
European monarchy, right? There was a whole reset of that.
That's not the history that I know. But okay, go on. I think, yes, you're right. Every civilization has its own shocks, big shocks.
Well, the point is, in order to get rid of the sclerosis of what the institutions have, like that. So that's like the framework.
Aren't you supposed to be able to vote for it?
No, so that's the point. It gets to a point where the institutions, it's not a shock enough to a vote won't do that, right? So,
Civil war.
But the point is that whatever framework you want to think about, I think ultimately we're in this kind of phase where the pendulum just swinging the other way, right? So why you ask why are we going through war? Why are we doing this? Because we're just at that point in time where things swing back, right? So I think it's a really hard transition phase. A lot of people are going to suffer from this probably, and it's going to be very tough till we get to the next phase of either more unity or we also don't know. This is modern history is all very new.
Well, you know what? There's not much an average citizen like you and I can do, right?
Yeah, so we have to follow how things go, or
we just follow, right? The leaders do what they do, right?
And hope that you're not in
the alphabet agencies do what they do. We just maybe the only thing we can do is pick the right place to live in.
If you have that privilege. So that brings me to the second point about everything you're saying. Now, you ask about why are we having this conflict between East and West, or this mentality, or at least that's the narrative. Well, let me ask. Do you want to live in China right now, or would you rather live in US right now? Or at least in the world's sphere of influence?
I'm sorry to say, man, I would not want to live in the US. I would not want to live in China either, but if I had to pick between US and China, I would go to China. But I'm very comfortable in Malaysia.
Well, at
I am.
At least you're putting your money where your mouth is. So you're saying that if push came to shove, and
I've lived in both countries before.
That's true,
right? And I've recently been to both countries again. But that was before COVID, right? Before the war. But already then there were big changes. But whatever it is, home is here, family is
Malaysia.
here. Our geopolitics over here are quite good. We're very localized.
Kind of a mix between sitting between worlds, which is kind of tricky though.
Yeah, I don't feel that we have this kind of bipartisanship yet. We're not that disunited over here.
Yeah.
Although the election results say this and that, but you know, overall, whatever government that comes in over here are most of the time moderate.
You mean the ones that come into power in Malaysia?
Moderate, yeah, mostly involved in local affairs. We don't go. We're not a big power that dictates or tries to go for foreign adventures. Yeah. Never been that. We're part of ASEAN, right? It's a quite a how to say, give and take culture over here, I guess.
Yeah.
So here is nice. Here is a good place to live. But for people in the US and China or other countries that might get involved, because they're big enough, then maybe, like your Russian friends, right? They are really, really thinking, oh shit, where should I live right now?
Well, it also points to how you build your business or say you invest your money, right? So
I think, if you just look at the next 1 year, I don't give a damn about geopolitics, right?
Yeah.
I think it's not a big point of consideration versus what sector I'm going to invest my money in, where's a good place to live, or what my next product, what my next product is.
Depends on the nature of your business.
No, I mean, come on. There's macro and micro. That's micro.
Micro, yes, I agree. If you focus on one market.
Like think about it, right? Our immediate generation, 2 generations ago, for my family, your family too, they thought a bit macro.
Can you elaborate?
And that's where you are today.
Can you elaborate? What do you mean by thinking macro?
My 3 generations ago, they
You mean like moving from China to Malaysia?
Yes, they emigrated,
Okay,
and it
I
was
see.
much more difficult. But it was a macro decision.
No,
They're not
well, no,
thinking
well,
about
well,
what am I going to do as a business in China or in Malaysia?
You'd have to disagree a bit. That's our narrative looking back on it. But in their everyday life, what the hardships they faced was a forcing function to.
I'm pretty sure not 50% of China moved out.
Well, maybe because
a tiny, minuscule portion, perhaps less than 1%, made the macro decision to migrate.
But it's because their everyday life was hard, right? These were probably people who needed to work and they didn't have the opportunity.
Not necessarily, right?
Not necessarily.
I mean,
yes.
when my great-grandparents left, it wasn't famine or war over there.
But was
they
he of
made
great
the macro
privilege?
choice.
Was he wealthy?
No.
Exactly.
No, but
It's
it
the micro.
wasn't like, his life was threatened, he had to run. Right?
Life was probably hard. At least
It wasn't
this
at
is the
gunpoint.
narrative.
It wasn't at gunpoint, right?
Yeah.
But they were not a majority of the people. The majority of the people stayed in the country, right?
Well, that's because they probably had to, right? It's not like everyone could pick up and go easily.
No, you can if you want to, but people got to make the macro choice, right?
But there's also this.
I'm pretty sure their decision involved much more geopolitics than local politics.
What about the effects of colonialism and following the opportunity? I mean, that has to be a part of it. It's not some simple narrative of you really thought they were so privileged that they could just think in the macro and like, oh, let's get up and go, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, they had simpler ways of macro thinking, right? They didn't have all the access to the news here and there. I'm pretty sure they heard, oh, Nanyang, that's a much better place. Oh, war is coming over here. Yeah, one province rebelled. Oh crap, they don't like us, so
Yeah.
they left.
Okay.
Right. So I think if you go back and understand, what drove their decision to come over here. I know in my case, my family is like, at that time it wasn't a very safe place in China, right? There were wars in other provinces. Yeah. The Western, countries like the Straits of the Strait settlements, Nanyang, it was called Nanyang over here, were much more advanced, right? And there were already a lot of how to say, there was already trade and business and people going back and forth throughout history, 500 years.
Longer, come on.
Much more. I mean, significant
Or if
amounts.
you're talking about like modern.
Significant amounts. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure those immigrants made a macro choice about generally we think this country is going down, right? We're going to move to another country.
Yeah.
That was the decision made.
Okay, so what's your point about micro decision making and how that relates today?
Not thinking about the global geopolitics.
Because we're talking, we were talking about how would you invest your money. So you're saying what people don't think of the macro anymore, or you don't? It's not the framework they should, or what are you saying?
But I think the main decision is not just a micro decision of like the company's products and the rest. But I think now that the world's uncertain, geopolitics have to become a real part of your decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you're saying that. Well, so I'm confused because before.
For example, if you got wiped out by Credit Suisse,
yeah.
you didn't make your geopolitics analysis because that would have been very evident.
Oh, because I thought your point was saying that people. So you're saying people have made decisions on a too micro level and did
Yes,
not
that's what I'm
include the
saying.
macro. Okay, I
Yes,
see.
yes.
So you're saying, so I think I agree with your sentiment. Ultimately, we're at a point in time in history where when you make even say angel investments, because you have to think carefully where your customer base is going to be and what regulations apply in the future. Unless, like for example, the only time I think it's not different if you're only looking at, say, I only invest in a beverage company in Malaysia,
Correct.
then no,
Correct.
then it only matters your local regime, right?
Even that might change, right? You never know when you get sanctioned. For Coca-Cola recipe.
So yeah. Oh no, that's for global companies. But say if I'm starting a new company in Malaysia, then you only look at your own
exactly.
company.
But that's my point. A micro isn't like that, right? You don't think about geopolitics, then you might have set up in the wrong country. Yeah.
If that depends on the nature of your supply chain. If it requires, so the point is, if you have anything, which I guess is almost every business now, there's some element of globalization. You do have to think about the macro. You have to think about the geopolitical. So I think we're in agreement on that then.
Yeah. Just put yourself in the shoes of a Russian, let's say, Russian distributor of Audio Technica. In 2018, if you just said, I'm not going to think about world news, I'm just going to start my business. He's bankrupt right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Point taken.
Just like that. Yeah.
I think that's because we were heading there, right? With the way the world was structured and the rise of China, it was bound to happen, don't you think? I mean, of course, it seems obvious in hindsight, but
of course, it's going to happen. Like, I mean, if you just take a step back and look at things at a macro level, right? You know, in history, everything has big pushes, right? Big changes here and there, right? There's a Great War after 100 years. We have an exceptionally long period of stability and peace.
Yes,
I think so.
So now we're in the transition
especially in
phase.
this region.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just so sad at the way it's transitioning. It doesn't have to be like this. So risky.
Don't you think Southeast Asia will be the beneficiary of this change then?
We are. Look at the trade numbers, man. Look
Yeah,
at what our export with China has become.
Yeah.
Look, what, 47% growth?
Which is probably why the government is realigning, because Malaysia's serving to that. Whereas
The West has been down 17% last quarter, 47% up in ASEAN.
if you look at Vietnam, though, I was just looking at some
37% up.
Yeah, but Vietnam, their exports are actually very soft, actually, which was very interesting.
Yeah, Vietnam didn't get the brunt of it. They're really high, I think.
Yeah. I mean, they're still growing.
They're still growing very fast.
3.3% was the last print
But
on
other
GDP.
countries, Malaysia benefited a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
What about Singapore? How did they make out in this?
They're trying to benefit more and more.
Well, I was just reading an article. TNI News report on the Substack. I saw the Singapore section, and there's a complaint that there's a big push from the government to attract all this Chinese capital, but what's happening is all these rich tech entrepreneurs are coming in, but they're not putting money. They're just buying mansions and cars, buying club memberships. So the money's not actually distributing and coming in.
Maybe just that tech cohort would have a different. The Chinese tech industry, they're not the 98% of the money, right?
You're talking about institutional money? Or?
No, I mean like what has Singapore experienced? $1 trillion, close to $1 trillion has been deposited in Singapore banks in the last quarter, ever since the SVB collapse and the Credit Suisse rout.
So flight to quality.
Yeah, have you not seen the news?
I didn't follow.
The Prime Minister of Singapore told the press not to make big news out of this.
Was it?
Yes, $1,000 billion has left Switzerland, has left Western countries, right, and has come back to Hong Kong and Singapore.
What's your source for this?
I think
It's one of the articles you read.
it's probably on CNA somewhere.
CNA. Oh, okay, China News, which is actually Singaporean. Yeah, Singaporean.
And
It's under, I think, SPA. Was it the?
they are, within Singapore, they have a few, news brands, and they all have a certain bias, I think.
Yeah, of course.
So if CNA wrote it, the other papers would have written it too. Yeah. My uncle said, "Oh my God, so much money. The banks don't want to take cash anymore. They're just full.
How is
the
your
bank vaults are full."
Your uncle, Gdex uncle?
Yeah. His wife, not him, because he would never say that. His wife will.
You talked to him about business. What does he think having a logistics company that's regional, I guess? Regional, right? Or is it mostly in Malaysia?
Yeah, he's actually moved beyond logistics.
He's
trying to
moved
go into tech.
into tech.
Yeah.
What did you advise him?
I don't want to say anything.
Okay. Better not, right? Not don't get involved.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you have any idea what he's thinking about, how he wants to protect himself geopolitically from his business, or how does he diversify? Is tech his diversification, or is it more of an amplification of his existing logistics business?
Diversification.
Diversification.
Yeah.
So he's too much eggs in one basket right now.
Yes, that's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of tech, what's he thinking? Just investing completely different domain expertise in tech, or adding tech to logistics?
I think what he's put some bets on, has nothing much to do with logistics.
Oh, interesting.
Nothing at all. One was cybersecurity. The other is
That's probably good though.
like software house. It's a payment system.
So this is way out of his comfort zone, or does he have some type of expertise in this?
I mean, if you play chess, right, you got one horse that would probably not fare well against the two big giants, if you go on a spending spree.
Yeah.
So maybe your strategy for this one is to outlast them. Yeah. But if that doesn't work out, you have just three other, different diversified bets.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I guess that's his thinking.
Interesting. But then any specific reason why he picked those areas?
No, I think he works on the approaches, good founder, good investor, good team.
Okay, so just
Like
business fundamentals.
How you make any good investment, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's his view. Like that's how I see, how he's thinking.
How is the world of palm oil and palm farming?
I worry that. Actually, I don't worry much. I think it's okay.
Commodities
I
is
think it's going
stable?
to be a good staple commodity.
Well, what has been the trends from the past few years leading till now, right? So there's like pre-COVID, there's COVID, now there's Ukraine war. Is there anything along the lines of commodities that benefits or gets hurt from this?
Well, CPO is food.
CPO is being
Food, oil, crude palm oil.
Crude palm oil, CPO. Okay.
Production is, limited. I mean, there's only two big countries that export it.
Malaysia and
Indonesia.
Indonesia.
We produce, around 6% more every year.
That's a lot. Is there enough land to support this growth?
No.
So,
Now most of it has come from improvements in yield and not from
technology,
new acreage.
Yeah.
The acreage growth rate has been below the yield growth rate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the price growth has been way higher than any of the yield growth or acreage growth.
What's the percentage of institutional farming in palm oil versus small fragmented farming?
Is what 80-20, 60-40 for Indonesia,
and then
80-20 in Malaysia.
So Malaysia is very developed, I guess.
Yeah, we are more developed in Indonesia.
Does that mean for your family business over time that gets smaller and smaller because you get squeezed out with more institutionalization, or will it always be 80-20?
I think it's hard to change the ratio. There's not much land left to change the ratio by much. I think in any case, it might lean towards less institutions. I don't know, but I don't see any big reason why it'll shift to 70-30.
Yeah.
There's not much land left to change it.
Any technology unlocks in terms of productivity to make it easier for smaller guys to take market share?
No, even if someone comes up with a new seed, new genome, right? It'll take some time to replant the whole thing. It's made available to everyone.
Well, what's the cycle of seed planting to harvesting?
Got 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
4 years to a new crop.
And how much land do you need to have a very healthy cycle of continuous production?
It doesn't matter, I mean, it's how much land do you mean? What like at any point you might replant just 20% of your land.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And you keep it concurrent.
Okay.
So you won't end up with a year where you don't have income.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. But not many people do it.
Why?
When prices are high, they hold on to their big fruits.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
And now it's the case where it's high. It's been very, very high. I mean, we're at 3,700 ringgit.
What's causing the price increase? It's either supply or demand, right? So which one is it?
No, something happened during COVID. It never came down.
That's weird.
But also they say that the cost structure of the industry has changed. That's a nice way of saying that Indonesia and Malaysia has formed a cartel.
Okay. Well, okay, yeah. So do you think there's collusion going on?
Oh yes, it's announced already. Right?
Is it?
Yeah, we have got together Indonesians, and we have created our own palm oil OPEC.
And the biggest end use of consumer palm oil would be cooking oil or
we've got-
industrial products,
No, mostly. It's food,
commercial
right?
products,
Food.
food.
Yeah, most of it goes to calories.
Mm-hmm.
All the byproducts go to other kinds of. But by terms of value, maybe that's 40%, 50%.
Yeah.
But in terms of weight of the product,
Yeah.
it's 10% is non-food, 90% goes to food.
Okay, 90% food. So the only thing that could ever change this monopoly is that the consumer pattern of consuming palm oil as the end food products, right?
That's not going to change. You can't. There are always lobbies that are against palm oil.
The European lobbies.
Oh yeah,
They went through that whole
they
phase.
try to ban it again. Yes.
Yeah.
Very annoying. It's not the first time,
Yeah.
Many times. So that's a unprovoked Western sanction.
Yeah. So what does this all mean then for you? What are you looking forward to? What does the next few years look like for you? Where's your focus? Where do you keep?
I told you before, man. Start family. I think I have no wish to change the world.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe later.
Later on?
Yeah.
So-
now get things stable again. I got a new puppy.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna get married.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So let's get that sorted first.
Mm-hmm.
See how the world collapses and
Yeah.
try something again.
Wait. Well, isn't the best time when there's a lot of volatility to start investing?
Yeah.
There's always time.
36. Maybe you should play a different hand of cards now.
Mm-hmm.
Play a different game.
What game do you want to play?
Used to play a different kind of game, right?
Yeah.
All in bet.
Mm-hmm.
Now got to play a bit. What's a good game to play now?
Traditional cash flow.
Hold your cards.
Hold the cash.
Hold all your cards.
Yeah.
There's no rules here. You can hold as many as you want.
It's just wait and see
Yeah.
until a good opportunity comes up.
Yeah.
Would you be more partial to investing locally or abroad?
You can invest abroad. Oh, it goes back to geopolitics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm very honest for buying gold.
Mm-hmm.
As much gold as I can.
You're holding onto your gold? You're
Yes.
talking physical gold or contracts?
It's a good question. I'm inclined to think, we bought a Maybank, they're pretty safe, right?
Yeah.
But it's still a certificate, right?
Yeah.
If that bank runs, then maybe there's no gold.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you will gold, like gold under the bed.
Okay. Let's talk the last section about trading. You did a lot of crypto trading.
Yeah, I still do.
You still do? Yeah. And then you traded, when did you start trading?
During the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. And then you traded through the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen a lot of cycles. That was a huge run up, right? Crash.
Mm-hmm.
FTX happened last year, end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so how has it affected your trading?
Oh, the FTX didn't really affect me much. I wasn't doing much then.
Mm-hmm.
The Luno one did.
Okay, so
The
Luna
Luno
blew up some of
crash.
your positions.
The Luno blow up.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Well, what was your strategy? What's your strategy for trading?
Same, man. Supply and demand. When the prices look high, I short. When the prices look low, I long.
So you do scalping basically, very short time frames, within a day,
1, 2 days, 3 days.
1, 2, 3. So you're scalping within a few days,
Yeah.
and
But
just
there's so much difference, in 1, 2 days.
yeah, because you're basically using volatility to get the price difference, and
Yes,
it's very
yes.
so it's all very technical.
There's nothing to read about
There's no-
crypto that makes sense.
Yeah, there's no fundamental.
You can read any white paper. It's like, okay, so what? Does it go up or down? What does this mean?
That's because you're trading purely. That's why.
Yes. I think, of course I'm trading, right? But doesn't mean when you trade, you have to understand what other people are interpreting these white papers are saying, right? I look at the end. They can think whatever they want, but my strategy is, I look at volume and price, and looking at that, I can infer to what they're thinking.
So volume and price essentially are just proxies to the psychology of
Yes.
which informs supply and
Yes.
demand, which
Correct.
shifts the price, right?
If there's a price with a certain volume that is there's a lot, means the market wants to buy
Yeah.
this price. If I see there's a lot less volume at this price than the previous price point, then it's very clear. It's either too low or too high.
Yeah. So the strategy is very simple. Use some basic technical indicators that inform on price and volume, and have a certain rule base, and you follow that.
Yes, because this is a manifestation of whatever the fundamentalists are thinking.
So
It is the ultimate manifestation.
So then success comes down to risk management and psychology, managing yourself.
I'm not good at that.
Still learning,
Much better.
much better.
Yeah. But then again, not a main part of what I do for a living, right?
Yeah,
Now I just go back to the farm once in a while. Yeah. We got a few new crops to plant. Yeah. This is much easier, stable.
Yeah. Make sure the family business is still making cash come in.
Correct. And that can do the next generation.
And then this is just
and gold.
Yeah, and crypto is just more of the, if you get lucky, you get lucky, I guess.
No, it's just a gambling habit.
So, but you, at one point you were convinced you could trade your way to wealth. Is this the wrong mentality, you think?
No, I think it can be done.
Just very hard though. It still follows the power rules, right? The majority of people will not be able to do it.
I never thought I was a majority.
Until the market proves you otherwise, or?
It's okay.
It's hard.
No, it's okay.
It's good to admit. It's okay to admit.
It's okay. It doesn't mean I'm giving up.
Yeah, but you pair your risk better probably. You have more discipline probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The power rules also, a bigger business that's way more established, has much higher chance of getting bigger than my fledgling little one.
Well, but the other flip side of that is when you're smaller, you could also compound to the bigger faster.
True.
I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? So
it's a game of risk. One has low risk, it's consistent cash flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. One is just big potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's something I like to do.
So then, looking on your, what you look at on your horizon, nothing in terms of investing or building or anything. Everyone's talking about AI. Nothing interesting for you?
I can't seem to do something about it. Can you? Could you? What was your last question to ChatGPT?
Make a list of groups of values that I have into core values, and it just organized it.
How does that know who you are? How does it do that?
No, I inputted the values list.
Okay, then you asked it to sort.
Yeah.
And what did that do for you?
I was able I was just lazy. I could think about this list of like 40, 50 values and then
What was it for content, right, or what?
No, I was just thinking about values in general.
I see. I asked ChatGPT to be a Buddha.
And then?
And speak as Buddha, answer as Buddha, keep character. He didn't really sound like Buddha to me. I mean, it sounded like him, but all really just nothing deep.
Yeah, well,
nothing deep. Seems.
What are you expecting? Like some type of AGI type response, like where it's like a real intelligent.
I don't know.
being?
Like when I read a book of quotes, or some concepts about Buddhism.
Yeah.
Wow, they're enlightening, they're deep. This is just like makeup.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're speaking to the main academic critics of ChatGPT, that it's just not really fully intelligent. It's very good at what it was trained on and the data set that it pulls from ultimately, but it's not really intelligence.
Of course.
So you're just hitting upon that.
It's not, but its power to do work that used to be done by humans. It's there.
Yeah.
It can write simple scripts. It can sort out your Excel VBA, or give you something to work on very easily.
It can do a lot more things more productively now.
Yes,
for
yes.
sure.
But I don't do that work anymore.
Yeah. What about using it toward?
So how do you make money off it?
Improve your yields on palm oil production.
Not much. Doesn't do much.
It doesn't do much.
Yeah, I've already went through that route.
You tried.
You can't tell me, how much I can load my trailer, and what lorry I need, what tractor I need to pull it. It can't give me the specific model number, right? It just tells me the general guidelines. Duh.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I thought you might have been able to do that. That would have been exciting.
So there is. For example, then there is specific investment or building opportunities in training specific data sets. So say if you have a very specific data set and you train it a certain way on palm oil data. So like actually the palm oil people probably could benefit from this because they sit on huge amounts of data, put it into a neural network, and then you run ChatGPT on top of that. It probably can then answer much better to what you're looking for. Probably, right?
That could be an idea.
Yeah. But I mean, you would need the data set, which it's just a question if these big companies can act on it then. Because it's relatively, the basics of the large language models are out there. Right? If you have enough money, you could hire the right people to probably get it set up, right?
Yeah, I suppose that could be done.
Yeah.
You know, if everyone puts out the data, what they use, how they do it, every data point that they have, what they buy, right? And then that model can probably figure out when you ask it.
Yeah, correct.
Right? It'll just figure out what all the rest do.
Yeah.
And tell you. Because that's actually not so easy to find out what all the rest do.
So there is some defensibility in these unique data sets that give actually answers much more productively, where, for example, a smaller palm oil producer like you would.
But you know, fundamentally, the work in the palm oil industry is less than 1% debt. That's something you have to think about once in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah, on what tractor should I buy?
Yeah.
Right?
Your ROI.
That's not the work.
Making,
That's not the work, right? The work is, you know, as any work, right? Is being there, having people, you know, assigning tasks, getting things done.
The real unlock would be getting a...
Talking about whether it replaces human intelligent work. Not really.
Yeah. Well,
right?
the bigger part is manual work,
It makes homework, yes. It makes homework easy.
Yeah.
But it's not a majority of work.
Well, your big problem would be, like, say if you wanted to scale, one is very capital intensive, land dependent, and also labor dependent. So for palm oil industry, it would be the bigger unlocks of leverage and getting more margin would be probably using less people that are more productive, which would be like a robot or something, right?
No, I mean...
Or just industrial scale
I think AI has been very, very helpful in science, right? The hard sciences, like, you know, the academics, helping them write papers, helping them do their research, or you know, compiling information, you know, figuring out things over there. Yeah. So that's high level thought, like you know, you would need AI constantly the whole day. To help you do this. That's helpful. But for other industries, I don't know. Maybe programming also might be very helpful as it gets faster and faster. It fills up more for you.
I think ultimately it opens a lot of doors for less technical people. One like you said, is programming. I talked to a founder recently.
You think so? A less technical person using ChatGPT to become like a technical person?
I mean, not at this current stage, because you still need to interpret the results. But over time, as it gets better,
technical person would use the AI better than these guys. As in, it's the same lead.
For now.
You think even out? I don't think so.
I mean, there would have to. Well, let's follow the history of computer language development. You start with machine code. Then now we have very high level
but there's still people at the top, and like it's not evening out. You can't say anyone's doing at the same level. There's always that 10x
there's more people who have access at using like JavaScript, right? So
it's a bigger base.
So eventually you get to that point, but you still always need those highly technical people. There's no doubt about that. That's never going to probably change.
Correct.
Right. So those are fundamental principles, I think. But then ultimately, it widens the funnel of access of people doing more things that they would not have been able to do in the past, right? On a more quote unquote technical level, whatever that means. Right?
It's very good. That's true. Yeah. So where do you plan to live for the next 10 years?
Making content like this, man.
You're gonna live here in Malaysia?
Oh, you mean geographically?
Yeah.
But that's if I have the privilege, it's not so much of it's more of a choice, right? If you have the privilege. So I still have family in the U.S. I'd like to spend some time here, but I can't escape here. Wife is from here, so spend some time here. Asia's probably still more exciting than U.S. in terms of growth and potential.
Are you going to move back?
It's hard to say in the future, right? So, but
you think they might? You think your family might come here?
No. Oh, you mean like my family uproot and move? No, they're not.
No,
they're
really?
American through and through. They're not going to change.
Maybe.
Unless something bad happens, but hopefully no shock to the system.
Geopolitics.
Yeah.
Macro decision.
Yeah. For now, it's everyone's staying put where they are.
Macro decision.
Yeah. All right, June. Well, thank you for doing this
unrecorded, unlive
session.
It's fun to talk on this. Thank you.
off
Thank
the
you for
cuff.
giving me the experience.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It's we say a lot of. I don't know if what we said was substantial. We're both people who don't know much about
Yeah.
politics, but we're just shooting a shit. So thank you for your time and
A lot of people don't know much.
yeah,
Yeah, it's YouTube. What do you expect?
that is true.
But then again, even outside YouTube, what do you think? I've seen people, who have PhDs going up there believing nonsense.
That is true.
So
What do we all know?
now I think, we're 36. I think we're old enough to see that nobody really knows much. Everyone is entirely capable to believe in bullshit.
Yeah,
They have the ability to be super good here and be completely, brainwashed. Happens
Yeah.
everyone.
well,
Even me, even you.
of course. And then I guess we'll leave it here. So thanks for your time.